Okay, we are recorded now. So welcome everybody. Looks like we've got about 25 live in the session, so that's brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us live. I know there are a bunch of people who are going to be listening back, so welcome to everybody else as well. If you're listening back, you're not going to miss out. It's better if we're live, and I realise people have lives and jobs, and I will be looking at the timings of these calls, because if we find that they're really not suitable for more people than they're suitable for, then we can make some adjustments. But we'll get kicked off today as planned, and we have got a big group, so welcome. I guess the first thing is congratulations, because all of you here today said yes. You said yes to yourself. You said yes, to committing to you for the next 6 weeks at least, and you've committed to this boot camp. So if you've got a win to start with today, then that's one massive win. You've said yes and you're here. Hopefully you're here because you made a committed decision, not because you're here to figure out if you want to see it through or not and see what's involved and see if it's hard. So whatever it is, whatever your reason, welcome and congratulations. Because you know what? There's something I know, and I know that there's more inside of you that you haven't yet released to the world. And you know that as well, in whatever area it is, whatever area of your life. And I think this could be one of those moments, when you can connect the dots looking back, like maybe in 6 months from now, you might look back to this day and said, I'm so glad I made that decision. That was one of those moments that started my journey in the world of me developing myself, me looking after myself and putting myself first, because believe it or not, that's what we should be doing. So you're going to be learning through the course of this 6 weeks the habits of highly successful, thriving, fulfilled people. And not only are you going to be learning them, but you're going to be taking action. That's the key, right? I can teach you all day long. I can give you books to read, but you're going to be taking action every day. And that's what's going to make the difference, because we can pick up a book and read it once. We can go on a course and then not apply anything. All the information and knowledge in the world won't help you if you don't apply it. That's why personal development has to be a systematic process. That means you're going to take action every single day. So I'm going to be working with you to share these principles, and the action and the learning, they're going to build. So they're like layer on top of each other. So, and we'll start small, we start simple, but we still start powerfully, and then they build on top. Every single day when you take action, what you learn, what you apply, builds. And without being cliched, you will get out what you put in. So if you want to dip into this and do it until it gets a bit tricky or difficult, then that's up to you. That is really up to you. I'm going to be here every step of the way. There'll be content for you to look at in the Facebook group. So we'll have this session. So yeah, let me just back up and say like kind of how this is going to run. So we'll have like sessions like this, which are going to be roughly weekly. Then maybe I'll creep some more in. And pretty much daily, there'll be things in the Facebook group. Some of it will just be some motivation. Some of it will be me nudging you a little bit. And some of it will be actions I want you to take and things to do. It's not going to be overwhelming. I'm aiming for the videos in Facebook to be like 6 minutes, 10 minutes at the most. So, and I don't want you to have to be glued to Facebook either through this 6 weeks. Most of the posts will be going out at like 6 a.m. or 7 p.m. So you can just check in. And I think the final thing is how this is going to work. I'll be inviting you to help hold yourself and others accountable and support each other by posting in the group. So there'll be things you're going to do that you're going to be proud of, and you want to be celebrating them. And there'll be things you want to tell other people about, because it helps hold you to account. I have pretty good habits and pretty good personal development disciplines, but I have to say, in putting this together, I've stepped it up. Just by being more conscious of delivering this for you, I've stepped up my own personal development and mindset work, and it has a massive impact. It's because sometimes we show up for other people, right? How much do we show up for other people and not ourselves? We think it's selfish to show up for ourselves first, but you'll be a great version of yourself when you show up for yourself first. So in terms of engagement, there's a big group, which is brilliant. I'm going to aim for these sessions. They're probably going to creep into an hour, if I'm honest. I aim for 45. We'll do some interaction in the chat, so we've got some chance to chat, and we'll aim to be able to at least have like a chance at the end where we can talk to each other. But with 25 people on a call, we could easily use an hour, and we might do that. We might have just a call to kind of ask questions. So let me just start then. So get your chat fingers ready. And what I'm going to be asking you to do regularly is to do what I call celebrate your wins. Because how good are you right now at telling people what you're not good at? How good are you at noticing all the things that didn't go well? Well, I want you to be developing the habit every single day, whether it's a small thing or a big thing, of noticing your wins. So right now, I'm going to put you on the spot and say, type a win into the chat. And if you can't think of one, and I'm not going to read them all out, so don't worry, just celebrate being here, because that's a massive win. It's Thursday. For some people, it's been a busy day, kids going back to school. It's 1 o'clock and you're here for yourself. So that's a win. If not, any other win will do. And this is a habit. This is your first habit, because when you're focusing on what you're good at and what you're proud of and what you want to celebrate, how do you feel? You feel a little bit better than when you're saying, let me tell you all the things that went wrong today. That's what we tend to do as humans. So give us some wins. Oh, I love the earlies. Gym classes, swims, some good tasks at work, to-do lists, yoga classes. Oh, there's loads of fitness in this. I'm getting a theme. Learning Spanish. Wow. That is a big win. Hit your step target already, Kirsty. Nice. Exercise. Brilliant. Brilliant. Loads of fitness ones. I love this. I love this. Awesome. Right. Brilliant. Keep going. Keep them coming. Don't get tired of, put as many as you want in. That's brilliant. We're going to do that regularly. And if you just see a random post from me in the Facebook group saying, tell me your wins, then do it there as well. Do it there as well. Right. The next question I'm going to ask you in the chat before I get going with some of the material I want to share with you today is, I've been asking you to think about your intentions for the next 6 weeks. A goal, something you want to achieve either by the end of the 6 weeks, or you're going to have made progress towards a longer term goal. So I'm not going to ask you to share your specific goal in the group. Feel free if you want to. I'm just going to ask you to tell me the category of your goal. So when I say the word, if this resonates, then type back, just so I get a sense of what's the mix. So if your goal is related to kind of weight and fitness, type weight. And if you're still floundering, Meg, I'm going to talk about that as well. Responding, not reacting, time, sleep. If it's to do with work, business, career, type work. If it's to do with money, type money. If it's to do with your emotional well-being, so you want to feel emotionally happier, calmer, less worried, less anxious, type emotion. Lots of work goes there. Emotion too. You know, the great thing with this type of kind of program is you focus on a goal, whatever that might be. The emotional side gets thrown in for free. Fitness as well. I think some people were mentioning confidence in last week's session. Is confidence still a part of a goal for some people? Yeah, that kind of work, confidence. Okay, so a good mix, kind of work, feeling better, and some fitness as well. Confidence as well. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. It's really good just to get a sense. You know, we could have like 50 people on this boot camp that are all interested in finance, money, and you know, you can then tailor the thinking and the examples around that, but it's good for me to have a sense. Happy and healthier. Yeah. Now then, if you're struggling and you don't have a goal, that's fine. It's absolutely okay. A lot of people don't set goals, and when we're asked to, it feels a bit strange, and it can take us a bit of time. What I would say is just to lock into something. Maybe just lock into how you want to feel at the end of the 6 weeks, and think along the lines of confidence, energy, more uplifted, a higher vibration. That's what we call emotional well-being, a higher vibration. So if you haven't got a goal and you can't think of one and you don't get to one, just lock into that, because we might not have a goal, but you definitely need an intention. You need an intention that's going to excite you to show up for yourself, because we won't. And that's why a lot of the times we say, yeah, I think I want this thing, but it doesn't excite me enough and it doesn't create desire in me. So when it's hard, or I don't feel like doing the work or the inner work, I don't, because the goal isn't important. So you do have to have an intention behind doing this stuff. It could be that you just say, look, I want to prove to myself that I can give myself a command and follow it. I want to prove I can be disciplined and show up for me. And my goal is to do every single task that Lorna sets me. That could be your goal. That's fine if that's your goal. So that's goals then. And I'll be posting, for the people who've got the little gift, you have a goal card. And for the people who haven't, that I'll be sending a second round of those out to you. I'll post a video on what that is and how to use that goal card. So don't worry about that for now. Any questions so far before I get going with some of the ideas I wanted to share with you today? No? Okay. So last week I gave you 4 reasons why we typically, let me just close the chat. I give you 4 reasons why people typically don't follow through for themselves. I've just shared one. It's we don't have a strong enough why. So our goal is, we set a goal we think we can achieve. So we're not really scared or inspired by it. It doesn't excite us that much, but we think we can achieve it. So we set that one. So that's one reason we don't follow through, because we're not excited enough to push through when it gets tough. So you have to be excited by your goal. The second reason is we haven't made a committed decision to do it. We kind of say, I'm going to commit to trying until it gets hard. That's the second reason. The third reason is discipline. We can keep promises for other people all day long, but we don't keep promises to ourselves. Developing the habit of discipline is one of the most powerful things you can develop, and you can. It's not just for some people. We can all develop it. And the fourth one, and this is what you're going to be doing through this bootcamp, is you haven't implemented the things you need to do, the way you need to think and the way you need to behave to get the goal. You haven't incorporated them as a habit. When it's a habit, it's automatic. So you don't need to have willpower, because it becomes automatic. Now, I'm going to give you 2 more reasons why people don't follow through, and that's going to be the focus of this session. And then we're going to build on this on Monday. So for big change to happen, right? If you're operating at a level 3 or 4 and you want to be a 10 in whatever your goal is, career, fitness, weight, money, there's a gap between the 3 and the 10. So most people haven't locked into the fact that if you want something dramatically different, you have to become the type of person who is a 10. You have to change, because whatever you've got in your life right now, your level 3, level 4 results in whatever area, you've got them as a result of the way you are, the way you think, and the way you behave. So if you want something transformational, you've got to do some inside work and change on the inside and become the type of person you need to become to get that goal. But most of us are locked into this idea that I can have that 10 if I work harder, if I try harder. But we're trying harder with more of the same. Does that make sense? Because more of the same thinking, more of the same behavior gives us more of the same. There's a story I'll give you, which is a fly, right? There's a fly on a windowsill and he can see the garden and he wants to get outside. So he flies as hard as he can to try and get outside, and he smacks his head off the windowsill. And then he tries again and he smacks his head off the windowsill. And he tries again and he smacks his head off the windowsill. And 50 feet away, there's a wide open window, and the freedom he wants is over there. He could fly straight out. But we know he's doomed. He's going to die on the windowsill because he's locked in to one way of doing things. He's locked into the idea that the way to freedom is through effort, determination. If I try harder and harder and harder, I'm going to break through this glass and I'm going to be free. That's similar to us. You know, we kind of get locked into, well, we're actually automatically thinking in a certain way. We might not know it, but I'm going to explain why. Most of us are locked into an automatic cycle of thinking that gives us automatic feelings and gives us and makes us behave in the same way, which gives us the same results. And even if you're successful, right, even if whatever you're doing right now has got you to a level of success, if what you want in the future is something different, you might need to try a different approach. So we get locked into the way we've always done it is the way we're always going to do it, but really then nothing changes, because change is an inside job. And that's what we're going to be getting into in this session, because you're going to have to commit to your own growth. And when I talk about your own growth and personal development, I'm talking about your mindset, what you focus on, your beliefs. Because if you don't do that, you're going to be trying to achieve dramatic change with the exact same thinking that got you to where you are today. Now, you might get incremental change by trying harder. You probably will, but you won't get anything radical. You definitely won't get anything radical. And when we lock into the idea that if I want transformational change, I have to do the work on the inside, and most people aren't prepared to do it, the next problem shows up. This is the sixth reason we don't follow through. It's time. So we don't think we've got the time. Really, we've got all the time in the world. We've all got 24 hours. What it is we haven't systematically prioritized doing the work on ourselves, committing to ourselves, putting ourselves first so that we can live the life we want to live and be the best version we can for other people. So today we're going to address those two areas. I'm going to talk more about this habitual cycle of thinking that keeps us locked into our current results. And I'm going to give you the actions that is going to help you prioritize systematically, prioritizing your personal development every single day. That's really what this boot camp is. Hopefully it's the start of a journey for you, because this never stops. You know, when you set a standard, you'll probably set a higher standard and a higher standard, because we never stop growing or expanding. So you'll always want to be successful people. You know, this boot camp is all about you understanding success habits. Successful people commit regularly to their own growth and their own expansion and their own personal development. So I'm going to throw like 3 or 4 slides up just to get into this in a little bit more detail. Before I do that, I'll keep the chat open. Any questions in the chat from anybody? Okay, excellent. Let me just get some slides up, you guys, and I'll share this screen right now. Okay. Now, we all have, like everybody, we all have a unique filter, unique to you, through which we see the world. So as humans, we're fundamentally the same, right? So we're born with the same mental toolbox, but we're born into a different environment. We're born with different genetics and we're born into a different environment, maybe a different country. And as kids, everything we saw and heard, every opinion that we listened to was fed to us. So you took on everything you heard your parents say, your teachers say, what was on the TV at the time. That then kind of stored you up with a lifetime's worth of things you thought were true. You know, you thought a man in a suit came down a chimney, right? We don't have a filter to question these things when we're young. So everything goes straight in. And some of these truths, some are favorable and some are unfavorable, but they get stored in the subconscious part of your mind and they act like a computer system, and they have you operating, thinking and behaving automatically. So you're this computer system with all of these truths, we then act out in our life. And as I said, some of them are favorable, right? So one area where it's favorable is you need to automatically know that you get in your car and you can drive the car, right? That's a favorable truth and a favorable habit that's stored there that you can keep and you can rely on. But just the way we can automatically drive our car, we've got unfavorable things that we're buying into, unfavorable truths that create thinking, feeling, and behavior and results we actually don't want. Examples of these might be, you have truths about what your capability is. You have a belief about what level, how far you think you can go. Career, money, relationships, health, fitness. You have a setting or a belief about how the world works. This is your filter and it's unique to you. Even if you were brought up in the same household, you have different, no two people have the exact same experience. And this is responsible. These truths, you'll hear me refer to these interchangeably as truths, belief systems, a paradigm, conditioning. This is all stored in your subconscious mind. And we think that as human beings that we're consciously choosing the things we're doing. The reality is we have about 70,000 thoughts a day, and 96 to 98% of those thoughts are automatic, and they come from that filter system, that paradigm in the subconscious mind. So your results are coming from this automatic program, not from what you're consciously choosing to think and do. Now, I know this is kind of a lot, and we'll build on this as we go. I just want to introduce this idea. You might know this inside out. This might be the first time you're hearing about a paradigm, right? But paradigms exist, and they exist in the world as well. And why that becomes interesting for what you're trying to achieve is, research this anywhere. Experts agree, we absolutely become what we think about. So whatever your dominant thinking has been up until this point, at this very point in your life, has created all of the results and circumstances. So everything you've got in your life right now, what you're experiencing, the life you're enjoying right now, is a product of your thinking. And most of that thinking is happening on a subconscious level automatically. That's what I mean by this cycle of thinking. That's why this fly keeps not, hitting his head off the window and ultimately doesn't achieve anything but death, because he's only got one pattern of thought. And unless he looks in what is a truth I need to challenge, because these are just truths, right? And we've been buying into them and accepting them. But I like to think of them as opinions, because they are just opinions, and they're just your opinions. Maybe you didn't decide them, maybe you inherited them from teachers or parents or whatever, but they're now truths that you're buying into, and then they're literally controlling your life. So when I think about your goal and this 6-week boot camp, a big focus here is going to be asking you to spend time every single day focusing on the things that you want, focusing on the goal that you want. Because when you focus on something often enough, you tend to attract it into your life, and you tend to notice what you need to notice to attract it. Now, there's something in, let me flick to your goal, actually. Let me flick to your goal to move this on. So I want your dominant thinking to be what you do want, not what you don't want. And if you have accepted and locked into the fact that most of your thinking is happening subconsciously, so you're not automatically choosing your thinking, when we're focused on our goal every single day, you are starting to flood your mind with something more empowering, something more positive, and you're being consciously aware of what you want to internalize. Now, do a little exercise for me before we move on. And just notice everything in your room that you're in that is grey. Notice everything that has the colour grey. And just lock into that. Now close your eyes and tell me everything in the room that was red. Now, that little exercise, it demonstrates something that is in your brain called the reticular activating system. Now, I'm sorry for getting really technical really quickly, but this makes a really important point about this filter that you're operating within. You know, when you get a new car and it's a red Golf, and then all you can see for the next week is a red Golf. Your brain is that the reticular activating system is the part of your brain that notices things. So whatever you think about most, you're instructing your brain, this is important. So when you're thinking about a red Golf, you will notice the red Golfs everywhere. When you were thinking about your goal, all of the time. You're instructing your brain to say, you know what, this is really important. And then your brain goes looking like an internet search. It goes looking internally for all the ideas and maybe historic events that are going to support the goal. You will start to notice things that are in harmony with your goal, circumstances, resources, people, because you are regularly focusing on a goal. And that's one of the habits we're going to put in place, is regularly thinking about what you want. You will activate this reticular activating system. And honestly, it can be quite magical when you see it, because because your filter is a filter. That's what it is. You wouldn't, unless you're focusing on it, you can't notice everything in the world, right? So you're going to notice what you tell your brain is important to notice. And the way you instruct your brain what's important is by your dominant thinking. And you have to systematically take conscious control of that, because as we've described, your thinking is pretty much happening automatically otherwise. So that is a lot, and I appreciate that, but this does build, and we get into this again on Monday, and we explain this in different ways. And what shows up when you're thinking about your goal, right? These truths that you're buying into, some are favorable, some are unfavorable. Unfavorable truths we also know as limiting beliefs. So possibly what showed up when I asked you to think about a goal was some of the reasons why it wasn't possible, some of the reasons why it wasn't possible for you, but maybe for other people, right? And these are some of the things you would see as limiting beliefs. I'm not intelligent enough. And at some point in your life, you decided your level of intelligence, maybe it was because of a report card at school or university 20 years ago, and then you decided that you would accept that as your level of intelligence. And that's then how you operate. That's the filter through which you see your capability from an intelligence perspective. You might have been brought up that, and I was, to want more is greedy. We should be satisfied. So that keeps you locked into, settling, playing it mediocre, not wanting more. What about if you said, the more I have, the more I can contribute to other people, the more I have, the more I can give? You might have decided at some point you lack confidence. You'll have these labels. You can tune into these. What are the things you say to other people and to yourself about who you are and who you're not? Because literally that is what you're acting out in your life. You'll literally put these labels on and you walk around in those clothes. You'll be able to think about the limiting beliefs. Chuck them in the chat if you can. What are other limiting beliefs that you have or other people might have? It's better to be safe than sorry. I bet most of us were conditioned with that one. When you think about that, right? Set a goal that you can achieve to avoid disappointment. Better to be safe than sorry. Crazy. I mean, why not set a goal that you really want is going to fill your life with joy, and you might have some failure, but is disappointment that bad? Not really. Money is something for other people. Other people have plenty of money. I'll never have plenty of money. These are just beliefs, truths, opinions that are now yours, that are driving the show, driving your results, because this is what is going on. This is the computer system. But the exciting part about what I'm sharing with you is you can start to change the paradigm. But you can't change it by just knowing this stuff. You can't change it by just saying, I now know I've got a paradigm. I now know I've got limiting beliefs. Great, I can change it. Because there are only two ways to change a paradigm. One is a direct emotional impact. So like a trauma, it's usually negative, this one. So it might be like the death of a loved one. It might be like a redundancy, a divorce. It kind of, it's one of those events where like it shakes your world, and like you're thrown upside down, and then you never look at the world the same again. Somebody who's been overweight their whole life and they have a massive health scare, and you see them suddenly lose all the weight. But we don't want to wait for like a negative emotional impact for you to make a dramatic change in your life where you want to make it. So we change it another way. So how did the beliefs get there in the first place? Well, it was what you heard over and over again when you were up to the age of about 7. And then that continues to the age of about 35, and then it's pretty much fixed. But it's what you heard or internalized over and over and over again. That's how the beliefs got there. But they're still just beliefs. Because if you put two people together, They'll have a completely different set of beliefs, but there's nothing really making them different other than the environment they grew up in and the beliefs they're buying into about who they are and who they're not. So if they got there through the repetition of ideas, that's how we replace them, the repetition of new ideas. Because what I'm going to show you on Monday is how that part of your mind that stores these beliefs, it's a subconscious part of your mind, and it doesn't know what's real or what's imagined. So if you've that phrase, tell a lie often enough, it becomes true. You tell your subconscious mind something over and over and over again with emotion, that's how you replace the limiting belief. That's why this is a 6-week bootcamp. That's why for any transformational change, you have to get on a systematic program. I've went to seminars, I've read books, and they don't have any lasting change because you have to do this systematically. And then you can start to develop empowering beliefs, right? Replace the beliefs. What about if you said, I spend time on things that matter most instead of I don't have time? What about instead of I'm not intelligent enough, you created a belief that said I can get all the knowledge I need? Because you can. Knowledge is everywhere. You can Google anything you want. What about I'm not a victim of my circumstances, I take full responsibility for my life? What about it's not greedy to want more? Wanting more is my desire and joy for life. That's what wanting more is all about. It's growth. What about the economy's bad? That's a nice truth we're being told at the moment, that we can internalize if we want, or we can internalize an idea that says some of the best businesses are created during a worst economy. See how we can start? It's just when you look at it this way, but you have to start by understanding what are some of those unfavorable beliefs that are kind of keeping you locked into where you are. That's the starting point for all of this. And that's where the action comes in for the first week of this boot camp. Well, actually the first 3 or 4 days before I had another one. Remember I said it's going to layer. So we're going to get now to some actions. And we'll definitely have some time for some discussion at the end and clarify anything you might need to be clarified. So before I hit you with the first action, let me ask you a question. I've got notes here just because I don't want to forget to tell you everything I wanted to tell you. Right. Yes. So we've talked about if you want a level 10 success, but you're at a level 3, you have to dedicate time to your personal development. And that's the first thing most people don't want to do because they've got other things that are more important. So when is the best time? If you're going to spend time looking at your belief system, learning new information, feeding your mind new things, focusing differently, when is the best time to do that, do you think? When in the day is the best time to do that? Yeah, it's an obvious answer, isn't it? Right? It is an answer. First thing, it's the morning. It is absolutely a morning. Extreme night owl. Do I hear a limiting belief there, Vanessa? So let me sell you on an idea. Now, if you try and fit so I'll tell you what I did, right? I'll tell you what I did. I said, I don't like getting up early. I haven't got enough energy and I'm not setting my alarm any earlier. I've got enough to do. I'm going to do it in the middle of the day. Guess what happens? The day gets in the way. Things pop up. I had 3 people who couldn't make this meeting who really intended to because their day got in the way. And that's what happens. That's just the reality. And with 2 weeks of me trying to do it that way and failing, I had to relent and do it in the morning. So there's a million reasons to do it in the morning. First reason, when you go to sleep at night, your mind is refreshed. The clutter of the day, that chatter in your mind, anything that's niggling, kind of gone quiet while you're asleep. So as long as you don't wake up and check your phone, your mind's free. And it's free to focus on you, to imagine your goal, to take in some new information. That's one good reason. There's less chance something more important is going to come up that's going to stop you doing it, because that's what will happen. If I go on the gym, isn't it? If for me at least, if I say I'm going to go to the gym like after work, middle of the day, something shows up and gets in the way. If I wake up and it's the first thing I've done, it's guaranteed. There's no question whether I'm going to do it or not. I'm definitely going to do it because I wake up and that's what I do. Successful people make that morning a habit. You might hate me for saying it. Some of you do. Some of you will be like, that's fine, I like the mornings. Some of you will hate me for saying it. Think about it this way though. When I tell you what I'm going to suggest you do in the mornings, if you set yourself up and you focus on you before anybody else, you feed your mind empowering things that are going to lift you up, inspire you, make you feel motivated. You're going to have a productive, powerful morning. What kind of day are you going to have? You're going to have a productive, powerful day. If you get calm in the morning, your day is going to be calmer. If you set an intention for the day, why do it at the end of the day or the middle of the day when the day's half gone? Win the morning, win the day. Look, it's going to result in you feeling amazing, and you'll resist. And I resisted. I was like, I have 2 kids. I already get up at 7, 7:15. Any earlier is just out of the question. Now it's 5:45 for me. And you can do that as well if you want. It's all just a choice, right? I was watching Netflix till midnight, and now I go to bed at 9:30. I'm committed. I was committed to TV, and it really is up to you what you want to do, because people who want to make a change, they commit to it, and they'll give up something. They'll give up, an extra hour of TV. They'll set their alarm half an hour earlier. And I'm going to be going on about this for a bit, because I know some people are going to need some convincing, but it's the first thing you do in the day. Tony Robbins calls this the hour of power. I'm not going to ask for an hour, not straight away. He calls it the hour of power. There's a whole book and series on this called The Miracle Morning. Whenever I'm teaching something, I never recommend people grab new books, but after this course is over, you might want to read The Miracle Morning. It's powerful. And if you didn't already have a convincing argument as to why what I'm going to suggest you do in the morning, then you would get it from that book. So I'm convincing you that you're going to give me 20 minutes. That's all I'm going to ask you to do, is dedicate. You're not giving me 20 minutes. You're giving you 20 minutes every day. That's all I'm asking for now. And let me bring up a slide to guide this first action. Bring up the slide. And I'm going to call it your me morning, because it's about you. Do you want to get up and put everybody else's needs first? Or do you want to put your needs first and then be an amazing wife, husband, colleague, parent, partner? That's what you'll be when you put yourself first. And that's the way to change habits. You get up and you do it. So I'm going to call this the me morning, right? And all I'm going to ask you to do between now and Monday is get up 20 minutes earlier than you normally do and do 2 things. Now, I'm always going to give you a minimum, because I don't want to hit you with, where I want you to get to, because that's entirely up to you how far you want to go with this. I'm going to give you a minimum, but if you say, no, I want to do an hour, do whatever you want. But a minimum I'm asking you for, get up 20 minutes earlier and spend the first 5 to 10 minutes in stillness and meditation. And the second, focusing on your goal, maybe writing about that goal and visualizing the goal. Now, the resources I'm going to share in the Facebook group every day give you more guidance on these things. I'll talk about stillness and meditation in a video that I'll share. I'll talk about journaling. But for now, we'll keep it high level, because otherwise I'll be talking at you for the next 20 minutes. It doesn't have to be meditation, right? Some people might meditate already and they're hooked. It took me a while, and I'm still not 100% there, but I know it's powerful. You just want to sit still. Most of us are in the habit of waking up and picking up our phones and checking all the red dots. We are. The first thing you want to be doing is, do you want to be a victim of the outside world and what's going to hit you when you wake up? Because when you pick up your phone, you're out of control from the minute you wake up, because you're going to be hit with something from your phone that you can't control. And that's going to send your thoughts in a certain direction, and you've lost control of the day, potentially. Wake up, don't look at your phone, go and get a drink of water, sit quietly. Don't lay in bed and think you can do this, because you'll be back asleep. Sit quietly for 5 or 10 minutes. Now, the easiest thing that I found is I just Google a guided meditation, 10-minute meditation by whoever you want, and just do it. Just get into it that way. There's a video coming that's going to give you more about that and why meditation is really powerful. So watch that. It's only short. The second one, remember, we become what we think about most. So I'm going to ask you to dedicate time every day, make it a habit. Now, you can write out your goal. You can write a description of you in the present tense. So at the end of this 6 weeks, I feel happy, I feel healthy, I feel energized, I've lost a stone in weight, I go to the gym 3 times a week. Just write about that, but as if it's already here. And then spend time thinking about it. Just visualize that. So that is all I'm going to ask you to do until we layer on top of this on Monday. Get up 20 minutes earlier. I'm going to give you 2 passes, and it's up to you if you use them. If you want to use a weekend pass and say, like, I'll commit Monday to Friday. This is your call. You do 7 days if you want. I'm going to give you 2 passes. And if you want to commit Monday to Friday and not do Saturday, Sunday, I guess it depends what job you do. So that's your call as well. So you're going to commit 5 days a week to stillness meditation and journaling and visualization. Okay, and all I can promise you is it's a great start. And when we get to the end of the 6 weeks and we've built on top of this, you are going to look at yourself and you're going to be unrecognizable, because we're going to get to goal actions and moving towards taking actual steps towards your goal, as well as the inner work. You're going to do some actual physical work. So you really are going to see a difference. Okay, that we're okay for time actually. So that is everything I wanted to share. I might have forgotten something. If I do, I'll be in the group later. Let me just stop the screen sharing. What I'll do at this point is I'll pause the recording just so you can speak freely and it's not going to be something that's recorded forevermore. So I'll stop the recording.